Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving into something that's, well, absolutely fundamental to good science, ethical research. It's the framework that protects, both science itself and all of us. To really get why these rules are so important, we actually have to go back in time. Back to a time when they just didn't exist. And the guidelines we have today, they weren't dreamed up in some comfy armchair. No, they were literally forged in the fire of some of history's most horrific failures. So these aren't just random dates on a timeline. They are massive turning points. You've got the Nuremberg Code, which came directly out of the horrors of the Nazi trials and established a bedrock principle: voluntary consent. But even then, the lessons weren't fully learned. Decades later, you have the Tuskegee study, a heartbreaking 40-year betrayal where hundreds of men were left untreated for syphilis without their knowledge. The public outrage from that led straight to the National Research Act, which created the Institutional Review Boards, or IRBs, that we have today. These are the gatekeepers. And really, these events, these tragedies, are the foundation of everything we're about to talk about. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the big ideas, the philosophies behind it all. Then we'll get practical, planning a study and protecting the people in it. After that, we'll talk about reporting with integrity. And finally, we'll jump into the tricky new challenges of our digital world. Okay, Section 1. 2 ethical philosophies. This is all about the framework for making those tough calls. Before we even touch the how-to guide, we've got to understand the two big philosophical operating systems that researchers use. Think of them as the core code running in the background whenever a scientist hits a really difficult ethical crossroad. And right here, you can see this incredible tension. On one side, you have utilitarianism. This is all about the outcome. It's basically a cost-benefit analysis that asks, what is the most good for the most people? So if a study could help millions but has a tiny risk for a few, a utilitarian might say, go for it. But then you have deontology. This philosophy couldn't care less about the outcome. It's all about the action itself. It says there are universal moral rules like do not lie, and you just don't break them. Ever. So lying to a participant, nope, doesn't matter how great the potential outcome is. And this clash, this battle between the ends and the means, is at the heart of almost every single ethical debate and research. All right, on to Section 2, planning your study, because ethics really begin before the first participant even arrives. So where does this all start? Well, not when the experiment begins. It starts way, way before that, right at the drawing board. This isn't something you tack on at the end. It is step 1. And this planning phase is serious business. It's a whole checklist. It starts with the researcher looking in the mirror and asking, am I actually the right person to do this? But here's something a lot of people miss. Just doing a badly designed study is unethical in itself. I mean, think about it. You're wasting people's time, maybe public money, on something that's not even going to produce useful results. That's a huge ethical problem. And of course, there's that final step, getting approval from an IRB. For most places, this isn't a suggestion. It's a hard rule. You have to pass through that gateway. Okay, Section 3, protecting participants. We're talking about the rights and dignity of every single individual. So once the plan is set, the spotlight swings to the most important part of any study, the people. These are not just data points on a spreadsheet. They are partners in the whole process, and they absolutely have rights. And the absolute cornerstone, the bedrock of protecting participants, is this idea of informed consent. And let's be clear, this is so much more than just getting someone to sign a piece of paper. It's a real conversation. It means making darn sure that every single person knows exactly what they're signing up for. What's the point of the study? What are they going to have to do? What are the risks? What are the potential benefits? All of it before they agree to anything. And just look at this quote. This one sentence, you will find it on pretty much every consent form out there, and it represents a complete flip in the power dynamic. It's a direct answer to tragedies like the Tuskegee study. It puts in black and white that the participant is always in control. It means you can literally get up and walk out at any second for any reason at all, and there's no penalty. The power is always and has to be with the individual. So beyond just giving consent, there's this whole set of rights that act like a shield for every participant. We're talking about privacy, which is your control over what you share, confidentiality, meaning they'll protect the data you give them, anonymity, where your name can't even be linked to your data, and a big one, protection from deception. Researchers shouldn't mislead you unless it's absolutely critical for the study. And even then, they have to come clean afterward in a debriefing and explain everything. Section 4 is all about reporting with integrity, the final test of a researcher's ethics. Okay, so the data's in. The participants have all gone home. But the job's not done. Not by a long shot. The ethical responsibility keeps going because how you handle and report your findings is just as crucial for the health of science itself. Now, when we talk about misconduct, it's not always some big, dramatic fraud. It's actually more of a spectrum. You've got trimming, which is kind of subtle. That's when you selectively snip out the data points that don't fit your story to make your results look prettier. Then there's cooking the books, which is way more serious. That's changing the data to match your hypothesis. And then there's forging. That's the ultimate sin in science, just making stuff up out of thin air. And all of these, from the small trim to the outright lie, they poison the entire well of scientific knowledge. And believe me, this isn't just a theoretical problem. Take the case of Sir Cyril Burt. This guy was a hugely influential psychologist. His research on twins seemed to prove, hands down, that intelligence was mostly genetic. And his work influenced education policy for decades. But after he died, the whole thing fell apart. It turned out he had fabricated data, made up co-authors, he even invented entire studies. It's just a shocking example of how one person's fraud can send a whole field of science down the wrong path for generations. Which brings us to Section 5, New Digital Dilemmas. We're talking about the ethical challenges in the age of online research. We're jumping to the modern frontier now, where our technology has given us these amazing new tools, but also a whole new set of really complex ethical questions that, frankly, we're all still trying to figure out. And in the last 10 years or so, one platform has been a total game changer, especially for social scientists: Amazon's Mechanical Turk, or MTurk. If you don't know it, it's basically a website where researchers can post quick online tasks and get data back from thousands of people, super fast and super cheap. And the result has been an explosion. I mean, look at this chart. In just one field, research using MTurk went from 6 articles in 2012 to 133 just 7 years later. That's insane. But all that easy access comes with a whole new set of ethical headaches. I mean, how do you really get informed consent from an anonymous person online? What do you do about people who lie about who they are just to qualify for a study? And what about the professional participants, the ones who've done so many studies they can smell a research trick a mile away? These are brand new problems that you just don't have in a classic old-school lab. And it's not just online stuff that's creating challenges. Some research methods are really pushing the boundaries on what's okay when it comes to deception. A classic example is something called the bogus pipeline. It's both clever and super controversial. The idea is, to get people to be more honest about really sensitive things, you hook them up to what you tell them is a perfect, foolproof lie detector. Now, it's totally fake, but if they believe it's real, they're way more likely to give you the truth. So, if you remember our philosophies from the beginning, the deontological view sees a massive red flag here. This isn't just hiding a small detail, it's an active, well-planned lie. It goes against that core rule: do not lie. So for a deontologist, it's simple. The method is unethical. Full stop. It doesn't matter what you might learn from it, the act itself is wrong. But then you put on your utilitarian hat and you ask, okay, what if this lie is the only way to get honest data about, say, teen smoking? And what if that data helps create a program that saves thousands of lives? Does that massive benefit outweigh the cost of the deception? And right there, that's the tension we talked about. It's those two philosophies clashing in a real-world, high-stakes scenario. And there is just no easy answer. So how do we enforce all this stuff? The big takeaway here is that it's not just one person standing guard. It's a whole system with multiple layers of defense. You've got the IRBs acting as the first gatekeepers. Then, for a study to get published, it has to survive peer review, where other experts pick it apart. After that, there's replication. Other scientists can try to do the study themselves to see if they get the same result. That's a great way to catch fraud or just honest mistakes. And on top of all that, you have professional organizations that can punish members who step out of line. So in the end, ethical research isn't a finished rule book. It's a live, ongoing conversation. It's this constant balancing act, right? Between this incredible human drive to learn and explore and our absolute duty to do no harm to the people who help us do it. And that final question isn't just for scientists in a lab. It's a question for all of us. When the goal is knowledge, where do you draw the line?